In the world of espionage, people imagine danger, chaos, and dramatic confrontations. They think spies operate in gunfights, chases, and instant decisions. The reality is far more calculated, silent, and controlled. Behind every mission, every interaction, and every choice lies a system of invisible rules. Rules that are never publicly discussed. Rules that quietly determine who survives, who succeeds, and who disappears without a trace. Some of these rules can be outlined in manuals. Most are learned only through experience. They are absorbed from mentors through trial and error, and through the constant pressure of survival in a world where a single mistake can be fatal. Spies are trained to move, observe, and act. But the most critical lessons are rarely about gadgets, weapons, or disguises. They are about restraint, discipline, and the invisible lines that separate life from death. Before we explore these rules, consider this. If you are fascinated by secret operations, hidden codes, and the untold lives of intelligence agents, subscribe now and turn on notifications. The hidden world you are about to enter is stranger than fiction, and the secrets uncovered here are more powerful than any weapon. Stay until the end. You will see the human side of espionage that no one talks about. The first rule every operative learns is compartmentalization. A spy is almost never given the full story. They receive fragments, a location, a time, a contact, a code word, or sometimes a single instruction without explanation. This is not a sign of distrust. It is a method of survival. If an operative is captured, the network is protected. One missing piece does not reveal the whole operation. Compartmentalization teaches that curiosity can be dangerous. Asking too many questions, wanting to know too much, or sharing doubts can make an agent vulnerable. A single word spoken at the wrong moment can unravel years of careful planning. Learning to act with limited knowledge is one of the first lessons every spy internalizes. Another crucial rule is plausible deniability. Every operation is designed so that the agency can deny involvement. Operatives often work without visible support or backup. They act in ways that leave no official trace. If captured, an agent may be denied by their own government. Their work may never be publicly acknowledged. This rule is harsh, but it protects the greater mission. Every spy understands it from the start. The mission comes first. The individual comes second. Identity separation is another rule that shapes the life of an operative. Personal life and operational life must remain distinct. Names, addresses, social connections, and family details are all tightly guarded. Even casual information can become a vulnerability. A friend unaware of operational secrecy can unknowingly expose patterns or details that jeopardize a mission. The best spies learn to live publicly without revealing who they truly are. They are present but invisible, known but not understood. Financial invisibility is another rule every operative lives by. Money draws attention. Sudden wealth, unusual purchases, or unexplainable transactions can expose an operative. Even small actions, like buying a car or opening a bank account, can leave a trail. A spy must maintain a lifestyle that is believable, ordinary, and blends with the environment. Luxury can be dangerous. Normalcy is survival. The rule of unpredictable routine is essential for survival. Ordinary people rely on habits. Spies avoid them. Daily routes, meeting points, and habits must be varied. Repetition creates predictability, and predictability can be observed and exploited. Every step, every commute, every visit is calculated to avoid observation. In espionage, unpredictability is a shield. Observation over action is another silent rule. Movies portray spies constantly moving and acting. Reality is different. Observation is more valuable than immediate action. An operative may follow a target for weeks, gathering information, noting interactions, and understanding patterns before acting. Premature action can expose the operative and compromise the entire network. Often the most successful operations succeed because the spy waited silently for the right moment. Patience is survival, restraint is power. Cultural immersion is another critical rule. A deep cover agent must study language, behavior, customs, humor, and social norms meticulously. A misplaced gesture, an incorrect greeting, or misunderstanding a cultural practice can expose an outsider. Every interaction must appear natural. A spy studies culture like an actor studies a role. Every detail matters. Believability is life-saving. Quiet presence is another essential principle. Spies must avoid drawing attention. The loudest person in a room is the first to be noticed. The operative must exist without being remembered. Invisibility is not hiding, it is being forgotten. Every word, movement, and glance is carefully measured. Silent sacrifice is one of the heaviest rules of all. Spies often miss life events. Birthdays, weddings, funerals, and family milestones pass without notice. They cannot explain their absence, and they cannot justify it. Secrecy and loyalty to the mission take precedence over personal desires. Some operatives carry this burden for decades. It is an invisible weight that few can comprehend. The rule of minimal trace governs communications and digital presence. No careless messages, no emotional signals, and no unguarded digital patterns. Anything left behind can be intercepted, recovered, or exploited. Every action must leave as little trace as possible. Even seemingly trivial messages and digital activity are carefully monitored. Minimalism in action becomes protection. Acceptance is perhaps the most profound silent rule. A spy must accept uncertainty, risk, and outcomes beyond their control. This acceptance does not create fear. It creates readiness. A prepared mind survives longer than a reckless one. Despite all these rules, spies are human. They doubt, they fear, they grieve, and they question morality. They wrestle silently with ethical dilemmas and the consequences of their actions, often invisible to the outside world. Yet they operate within a framework few can understand. Discipline governs survival, restraint defines power, and the silent rules are stronger than any law. Some rules are subtle, yet enforceable. One such rule is the rule of loyalty within the team. Trust is measured carefully, information is shared slowly, and verification is constant. Even within agencies, loyalty is tested. Not everyone is told everything, because history shows the greatest threats sometimes come from within. Another hidden rule is adaptability. Plans change, contacts disappear, and situations collapse. A spy cannot hesitate. Improvisation is often the difference between escape and exposure. Flexibility is not optional, it is expected. Spies are trained to anticipate the unexpected. They rehearse scenarios in their minds. They imagine failures and plan countermeasures. Mental preparation is a skill honed daily. A failure to anticipate consequences can be fatal. Spies also follow the rule of emotional neutrality in interactions. Even when building relationships, they remain observant, analytical, and careful. Their goal is to gather information and maintain control. Personal emotions cannot influence operational decisions. Emotional mistakes can expose networks or compromise lives. Every spy lives under the rule of invisible accountability. They are responsible for every decision and every action. One small mistake can unravel years of intelligence work. Responsibility is constant and unforgiving. Finally, there is the overarching rule that binds all others: respect for the unseen consequences. Every action, every word, and every signal carries weight. The world of espionage is a delicate balance. One misstep can end missions, careers, and lives. Agents internalize this knowledge constantly. Becomes instinctive. The life of a spy is disciplined, controlled, and deeply structured by these unwritten rules. It is a life few could imagine and fewer could endure. The rules that are never written, spoken, or publicly discussed are the ones that keep agents alive. The most powerful weapon of a spy is not a gun, a gadget, or a code. It is the ability to live by rules the world will never see. This is the silent world of espionage, a world built on observation, restraint, discipline, sacrifice, and acceptance. It is a world where the smallest detail matters and the largest consequence can come from the most invisible action. In espionage, rules are not always written. Ethics are not always explained. Yet every operative operates under a system of moral guidance that is as invisible as it is strict. These are the codes that define who is trusted, who is tested, and who can be relied upon when the stakes are highest. Every mission involves choices. Choices that can have consequences far beyond what the operative sees. Every decision can endanger lives, compromise networks, or alter the balance of global power. One of the first unspoken codes is loyalty. Not loyalty to a government, not loyalty to a cause, but loyalty to the network and to the mission itself. Every agent is constantly measured, every move observed, every interaction analyzed. Trust is earned slowly and easily lost. One mistake can mark an operative as unreliable forever. This loyalty extends beyond simple obedience. It is a deep understanding that the mission and the network are larger than the individual. Operatives must act without ego, without recognition, and without expectation of reward. Every choice is weighed against the safety of others. Every action is measured against the consequences it could create. Then comes the rule of internal ethics. In a world built on deception, spies must maintain a moral compass that guides decisions without betraying the mission. Ethics are not taught in manuals. They are learned through experience and observation. Operatives are faced with dilemmas that have no clear right answer. Should they lie to a source to protect the mission? Should they deceive an innocent person to prevent exposure? Should they act in ways that could harm allies if it ensures success? Every decision is a test of judgment. Every choice carries a psychological weight that few outside the profession can understand. Ethics in espionage are a delicate balance between necessity and consequence. They are never absolute. They are situational, calculated, and sometimes brutal. Another critical rule is the relationship between agent and handler. The handler is the person who guides the operative from behind the scenes, providing information, instructions, and oversight. This relationship is built on trust, but also on constant evaluation. A handler must understand the operative's capabilities and limitations. They must anticipate risks, manage resources, and sometimes make decisions that will place the operative in danger. For the operative, trust in the handler is essential, but complete dependence is forbidden. Every agent must maintain autonomy, the ability to think critically and act independently when necessary. Handlers guide, but operatives execute. This dynamic creates tension, responsibility, and a psychological pressure that is rarely visible to outsiders. Then there is the code of discretion. Information must be shared selectively. Even within a team, knowledge is compartmentalized. Spies often know only what they need to know to complete the mission. Sharing more can create exposure. Trust is conditional and calculated. Every conversation is filtered. Every word measured. The wrong disclosure can destroy years of intelligence work. This culture of discretion extends to personal relationships. Spies form connections cautiously. Friendships are tested. Romantic involvement is rare and fraught with risk. A single emotional misstep can compromise operations, expose identities, or create vulnerabilities. Operatives learn to value loyalty and reliability over intimacy. Every relationship must be balanced against operational security. The psychological demands are immense. Operatives are trained to observe constantly, to read intentions, to anticipate deception. But they must also maintain their own internal discipline. Emotional impulses can destroy missions. Curiosity, anger, fear, or desire can expose networks and lives. The internal struggle of every spy is invisible but constant. Another unspoken rule is accountability to history. Every operation leaves a trace, even if unseen. Mistakes can ripple far beyond the individual. A failed mission can change the course of conflicts, destabilize governments, or endanger innocent lives. Every action is a thread in a much larger web, and spies are acutely aware of their responsibility. This leads to another silent rule: controlled initiative. Operatives are often left to make decisions with limited information. They are trained to act decisively, but within strict ethical and operational boundaries. Initiative is necessary, but reckless action is fatal. Every choice is weighed, analyzed, and executed with precision. The consequences of misjudgment are immediate and sometimes irreversible. Then comes the moral gray zone. Spies often operate in areas where right and wrong are not defined. Missions may require deception, sabotage, or manipulation. Allies may be coerced. Innocence may be endangered. Every action must be justified within the framework of mission success. This constant navigation between necessity and morality shapes the operative's psychological resilience and ethical understanding. The ability to live in this gray zone requires constant mental discipline. Operatives compartmentalize actions, separating operational necessity from personal morality. This is a skill honed over years of experience, and it defines the most effective intelligence agents. Another critical component is loyalty under pressure. Operatives are often subjected to tests of allegiance. They may be tempted, threatened, or interrogated. The greatest spies are those who remain steadfast, those who place the mission above personal survival when necessary. Loyalty is continuously tested and never assumed. Handling risk is another central rule. Every assignment carries danger. Every interaction has the potential to expose identities or compromise operations. Risk assessment is constant. Decisions are evaluated not just for immediate impact, but for long-term consequences. An operative must anticipate enemy actions, predict outcomes, and manage uncertainty with precision. Then there is the rule of observation as a moral instrument. Spies are trained to notice behavior, detect inconsistencies, and interpret intentions. This observation is used to prevent harm, protect the network, and ensure mission success. The act of watching itself becomes a tool of ethical enforcement. A spy sees what others cannot and acts accordingly. The invisible chain of command is another layer of ethical guidance. Every agent reports to a handler who interprets instructions from higher authorities. Orders are filtered, contextualized, and often incomplete. The operative must exercise judgment while remaining within the bounds of acceptable action. Disobedience can be fatal, but blind compliance without thought can be equally dangerous. Then comes the rule of psychological concealment. Operatives must hide stress, doubt, and fear. They cannot show hesitation or uncertainty. Their mental state is as much a tool as their physical skill. Control over thought and emotion is necessary not only for operational security, but for ethical decision-making. A compromised mind can lead to compromised actions. Another silent principle is foresight. Spies are trained to anticipate consequences before acting. This includes understanding political, social, and human impacts. Every move is weighed against multiple scenarios. Anticipation is a survival tool. It ensures that ethical boundaries are maintained even under extreme pressure. There is also the rule of professional detachment. Operatives cannot allow personal bias to influence operational decisions. Favoritism, anger, or desire cannot interfere with the mission. Emotional involvement is carefully managed. Decisions must be calculated, not reactive. The cost of personal attachment can be catastrophic. Then there is the unspoken rule of secrecy in retirement. Many agents continue to follow their own rules long after leaving the field. They cannot share their experiences, reveal identities, or discuss operations. This is not just loyalty to the agency. It is a survival strategy. Silence protects them and those who remain active in the network. Finally, there is the overarching principle of invisible consequence. Every act carries weight. Every decision resonates beyond the immediate operation. A spy lives with the knowledge that a misstep could cost lives, careers, and even national security. This awareness is constant, silent, and internalized. The hidden ethics and loyalty codes of espionage shape every operative's life. They govern behavior in ways that are invisible to the outside world. They demand discipline, restraint, courage, and judgment. They create a psychological environment where only the most disciplined survive. These unwritten rules define the true work of spies. They determine who is trusted, who can act independently, and who can navigate the shadows without exposure. They create operatives who are both human and controlled, capable of operating in situations that few could imagine. Every agent who masters these principles becomes not only a professional, but a living embodiment of the silent system of rules that governs the hidden world of intelligence. And yet, even within this controlled environment, the stakes are never diminished. The weight of ethical decision-making, loyalty testing, and operational risk is ever present. Spies operate constantly at the intersection of necessity and morality. Every choice can have consequences that ripple far beyond what anyone can see. This is the unseen world of espionage. A world of invisible ethics and silent loyalty. A world where morality is calculated and trust is measured with extreme precision. A world where survival depends not on weapons or gadgets, but on discipline, judgment, and understanding the cost of every action. Even with discipline, loyalty, and ethical restraint, espionage is not without cost. No amount of training or secrecy can fully protect an operative from the consequences of their actions or the risks inherent in their work. The life of a spy is shadowed by danger, uncertainty, and sometimes betrayal. Silent rules guide behavior, but they cannot prevent all mistakes, all exposure, or all tragedy. Some of the darkest outcomes occur when rules are broken or misinterpreted. An operative acting on incomplete information can inadvertently compromise a mission, endanger colleagues, or create political crises. Sometimes these failures remain hidden, known only to the agency and the operatives involved. Sometimes the results are public, leading to scandals that shock the world. Consider the cases where double agents were discovered, where operatives were captured, and where secrets meant to be invisible suddenly became headlines. Entire networks have collapsed because of a single breach, a momentary lapse in judgment, or an act of misplaced trust. These events are studied for decades within intelligence circles. They become lessons in the cost of miscalculation. Even the most disciplined operatives are not immune to psychological strain. Years of compartmentalization, constant observation, and moral compromise take their toll. Some retire quietly, unable to speak of what they saw. Some struggle with guilt or trauma that is invisible to everyone around them. And some never fully recover, haunted by choices they were forced to make for the sake of duty. Then there are the major scandals that have shaped the modern understanding of espionage. Operations exposed by leaks, whistleblowers, or captured agents have revealed the fragility of secrecy. They demonstrate that no system, no matter how careful, is flawless. These incidents underscore the tension between ethical boundaries, operational necessity, and the human cost of intelligence work. One of the most striking truths is that espionage is a world of uncertainty where even the most trusted operatives can be betrayed. Allies may turn, contacts may deceive, and internal politics may override loyalty. The rules guide behavior, but they cannot guarantee safety. The hidden world operates on probabilities, not certainties. Every agent must navigate these realities daily. Every interaction, every decision, every observation carries weight. The stakes are never theoretical. They are real and immediate. The lives of others, and sometimes the fate of nations, rest on the careful execution of silent rules learned in the shadows. For some operatives, the consequences are permanent. Capture, imprisonment, or death can occur without warning. For others, exposure means exile, or a life spent under the watchful eye of authorities. Even retirement does not guarantee peace. Former operatives remain bound by secrecy and often by guilt. The world outside the shadows cannot fully comprehend the sacrifices made. Yet there are also moments of success that remain invisible. Entire crises have been prevented, conflicts de-escalated, and lives saved because of the careful work of spies operating in silence. These victories are rarely acknowledged, yet they define the impact of espionage more than any public recognition ever could. The psychological endurance required is immense. Operatives must maintain focus while constantly analyzing, predicting, and reacting. They must weigh moral dilemmas against operational necessity. They must balance the human cost against the greater good. Failure to do so can have catastrophic consequences. Some of the most dramatic examples involve the blurred lines between right and wrong. Spies must sometimes manipulate, deceive, and even sacrifice others to achieve objectives. These actions are taken under the strictest operational guidance, but leave indelible marks on those who execute them. The ethical ambiguity is part of the profession, yet it is rarely discussed outside classified circles. Another consequence is the permanent burden of secrecy. Even when missions succeed, operatives cannot share their experiences. Their families, friends, and the public remain unaware of the sacrifices made. This isolation can lead to profound loneliness, strained relationships, and a sense of invisibility that few outside the profession can understand. Scandals further illustrate the fragility of trust in espionage. Famous cases where double agents, leaks, or compromised operations were revealed show that no matter how disciplined, no matter how silent, intelligence work is always vulnerable. These events ripple through agencies, shake confidence, and redefine operational protocols for years to come. They are a stark reminder that even the best training cannot eliminate risk entirely. The consequences of espionage extend beyond the individual. Entire networks, allies, and even global political structures can be affected by a single misstep. The silent rules guide behavior, but they do not eliminate unpredictability. Every mission is a test of discipline, judgment, and moral fortitude. For those who endure, the rewards are subtle yet profound. The ability to operate in extreme conditions, to influence outcomes without recognition, and to navigate a world of deception requires skill, intellect, and psychological resilience. These are the hallmarks of operatives who succeed where others fail. As the life of a spy unfolds, patterns emerge. Rules are learned, loyalty is tested, ethical boundaries are navigated, and consequences are managed. Each mission reinforces the importance of restraint, observation, and adaptability. Each operation confirms that success is often invisible and failure can be catastrophic. The most powerful truth of espionage is that the world rarely sees the cost. The public may imagine glamour, danger, or excitement. The reality is a life of calculated risk, constant vigilance, moral ambiguity, and silent sacrifice. The stories of those who live this life are complex, often tragic, and always human. And yet, even in the darkest shadows, there is a certain elegance. The precision of planning, the discipline of execution, and the silent ethics of the operative create a system that functions in secrecy, but with profound impact. Every choice, every observation, every calculated risk shapes outcomes far beyond the immediate mission. This is the hidden world of espionage. A world of invisible rules, silent loyalty, moral complexity, and profound consequences. A world where victory is quiet, failure is catastrophic, and survival depends on understanding the weight of every action. The cinematic truth is that espionage is not about spectacle. It is about control. It is about patience. It is about navigating a world that does not forgive mistakes. It is about understanding the human cost behind every decision and the silent responsibility carried by those who operate in the shadows. Every agent who survives this world embodies the principles of discipline, observation, loyalty, and ethical navigation. They become living examples of the silent code that governs one of the most secretive professions on Earth. And as the curtain closes on this hidden world, we are left the profound understanding. The most powerful tools of espionage are not guns, gadgets, or codes. They are restraint, observation, discipline, and the ability to live by rules the world will never see. The life of a spy is a constant negotiation between necessity and morality. Every day is a test. Every decision matters. Every action has consequences that ripple far beyond the operative. This is the true essence of intelligence work. It is human, it is disciplined, and it is hidden.